So I'm loving it, mate. In the top right side, we are looking at the main base of a Chinese Protoss. He is representing DKZ. This is Jieshi in his opening match of the season.
And then in the bottom left side, in the blue, he's actually, a bit of a surprise. He's not on onside anymore. The teamless Zerg, Rex.
Rex definitely a household name in the Taiwanese region. He had a lot of good runs, a lot of top 3 finishes, but just couldn't quite get the best of Nice and Has in that region. Now the regions are fused together, so that obviously gives us a couple of matchups that we don't normally see. I love it. I think Rex is a very cool dude. He seems to be very passionate as well, right? And happy. He's hopping around the Twitch channels, and it's always cool to see the players from different regions interact with the Europeans and the Americans. I'm a fan, but I was a bit shocked. As I said, looking at that record, 0-6 historically against Jieshi, that doesn't bode well for him, but I still believe that we could potentially have a pretty close best of 3 here.
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking at this as well. I'm a bit surprised we're not getting any sort of proxy hatch type thing, right? And I know it's game 1, and I know it's royal blood and all these things, but when I think of Rex, I don't think of, and I know you're a little bit different here, but I don't think of standard macro play. I'm thinking, hey, he's going to do something weird. At least that's what we see when he plays on the on EPT Cups, things of that nature. And maybe, Roddy, this is just a marker of confidence, where Rex will do the proxy hatch against someone like Hero, where he feels like he needs that leg up. But against Jieshi, well, yeah, I'm just going to play a standard.
Yeah, and I don't hate that, right? If you know that you're a big underdog, it doesn't even make too much sense to go for your super standard macro-oriented build, because if you then keep on losing against guys that are simply better than you, it's almost like you start second-guessing your strategy. And that's obviously not necessarily where it goes wrong, right? Like in StarCraft 2, it's a game of minor details. These top-tier players, they find so many ways to get a little leg up on you. But if you feel like you're close to your opponent, yeah, go with the macro builds that you believe in. No need to get ultra crazy, unless that's obviously what you think is going to be your best shot at winning. But I don't hate seeing Rex have a sort of normal approach for now and just play a normal game, because he is not a bad Zerg, and he definitely doesn't only have to cheese to be competitive here.
Oh, not at all. So, Roddy, looking at our setup right now, Jieshi, he's gone Stargate. That we talked about standard play. We talked about this macro play. That shouldn't surprise anyone. I mean, that is how the Protoss meta has been going for, I don't know, a year and a half now. It's the best way to open. But the question we ask ourselves is, where does Jieshi go from this? Is he going to go for your standard? Well, it's not at all, actually, because there's a Void Ray on the way.
Yeah, no, as you said, Stargate is not surprising. I feel like Stargate or Twilight both are still totally fine. Twilight seems to be a little more popular on the smaller maps, and since Royal Blood is somewhat large and somewhat wide open, I was expecting, though, 2 Oracles, and we take it from there, right? That's kind of where the variation kicks in. Is it going to be triple Oracle or the 4-Oracle, as Wardy and Local like to call it? Is it just single Oracle into an all-in? But instead, we're opening things up with a Void Ray. I don't know how you feel about it, Bio. I often think of it as like, I don't like the Void Ray, but it actually does pretty well in this matchup. Like, just roams around, finds an Overlord, finds a Creep Tumor, makes it easy for the Protoss to expand. It feels like such a big investment to me, but most of the time it actually just kind of goes pretty well into the mid game.
Yeah, the way it's been explained to me, because again, I don't really understand the appeal of the Void Ray either, but the way it's been explained to me is that if you think you're going to get like two Overlords-ish, then kind of you go for it. Otherwise, it's not going to work out super well.
I was worried there, man. I was like, I don't know if I like that fight going for that Overlord, but he does get the Overlord, gets the Void Ray out. One of the Adepts does get picked off. Obviously, it's no big deal for Rex to lose a single Overlord. Void Rays are expensive, and if that is all that he is going to lose against his Overlord, besides the Overlord that he obviously has on the other side of the map, I think it's still completely acceptable. If I was a Zerg player, I wouldn't hate seeing the Void Ray, right? It'd be like, all right, I know that is going to happen, but it obviously means Oracles are going to be later. Then we're not supposed to lose 4 drones, though, against this first Oracle.
Yeah, I guess on the flip side, there is this fact that the Oracle is very low, 25 HP. Okay, normally what's going to happen there? You're going to run in with an Oracle. You're going to get like 2 drones. You're going to go down to orange hit points. You're going to sit behind the mineral line as Jieshi is right now. You're going to get a second one. That's when the damage happens. But I guess maybe because you open with that Void Ray and you're not going to have that triple Oracle pressure that you might have, that it kind of makes you want to commit a little bit more. And yeah, 4 drones early, not bad.
No, not bad at all for Jieshi. And if you're Rex, it's like, okay, if that happens once, it is what it is. It did take a lot of damage, like you rightfully pointed out. But now we really need to stop losing drones. He is still losing a couple. This one was better, though, as he only loses 2 drones. And even the second Oracle drops ultra low on HP. We've got a pretty adventurous start to our day here, where on the other side of the map, GC went for a Forge, a Twilight, and a Robo. And as Todd would call it, Le Explosion, the gateway as well. This man is, I don't know, richer than Elon Musk or something, because he's just trying to do everything at the same time. And so far, it's actually kind of working out. He's on 63 probes, and he looks pretty safe on his side of the map.
Yeah, and I'm not super worried about these Lings either. I mean, they're going to try to dive in, but this wall, good luck. There's nothing there. I mean, I guess maybe you dive on top of the sentries, but there's a shield battery there, adepts. Well, yeah, so Rex is not going to find his value, and I like this. I mean, he's already on his 4th base, +1 melee, 2/3 of the way done. He's actually delayed his lair quite a bit here, and the lair is going to be done in, is going to be done right around that 645 mark. So he's also doing a pretty good job of trying to explode. But the question now is, as they both exploded in this mid game, is Rex going to have enough oomph to bust this Jieshi down, or does Jieshi get himself really solidly into that position he wants to be?
Yeah, he's making a lot of roaches. We had 6 roaches on the way, now makes 11 more. I'm a little bit sad that he started attacking the Oracle from as far away as he did, because I think if he actually right-clicks on slightly towards the right of the Oracle, then you push it into the direction of the other queens. I think that could have been a dead Oracle, but it's all good. At least Rex didn't lose any drones there. Making this many roaches, though, and then going back into drones, I find a bit odd, because Jieshi is just macroing, right? He's not building any real battle units just yet. Yes, we've got a Colossus on the way, but it's mostly upgrades. It's a couple stalkers. I would have preferred to see 15 drones and then we make all these roaches and links, but we're still getting up to a very healthy drone count, so there is no man overboard. It just could have been slightly more optimal on the side of Rex. Creep spread, however, BO, is looking pretty sexy.
And it is. He's also doing a great job of knocking the rocks down, which means any sort of attack coming in from the Protoss is not going to have a nice, easy choke to attack through. But Roddy, I almost wonder, considering this opening, right? Void Raid double Oracle behind that, the 3rd base as it is, whether Rex was just kind of expecting this to move into quicker Blink Stalker pressure. At that point, okay, I do need roaches, I do need lings to make sure that I defend against that 7-minute, 7:30-ish timing where you move across the map with stalkers that just finished their blink. So I wonder whether Rex had the misread there, right? Okay, I need army units to make sure I can defend, and well, I mean, clearly he doesn't. That's a quick 4th base. Colossus on the way. Jayshi's not moving out until he has like 3 of those. So Rex does have that time now.
No, I think you're totally right, Bio. I think that's exactly what happened there. And obviously, we see that Jieshi wasn't actually moving out and wasn't planning on anything aggressive. But if you're Rex and there is a Void Ray denying Overlord scouting, there are Oracles denying Zerglings from the other side of the map. At one point, you're like, okay, I just haven't seen a whole lot. Let's just go ahead and make these safety units. I think that is exactly what happened. The good news, however, though, for Rex is that he did go into droning very quickly. And he had a damn early hive, man. Like 7 minutes, 40 seconds. You know, if this is a 7-minute, 40-second hive, we're like, whoa, let's go. That's awesome. Rex is just playing with a lot of confidence here. He's close to maxing out in a 9-minute game. He's got Hive, Vipers, Adrenal Glands. Like, I'm really feeling the way that Rex is playing this game. The creep has been absolutely amazing. And if I am looking at this game, Pio, 9 minutes in, and you're going to tell me that this Protoss has won all 6 encounters against the Zerg, I would honestly be a bit surprised, because I'd be like, no, that seems unlikely. These two seem very evenly matched so far, 10 minutes in.
They do, and man, Jayshi's got to hit his timing. It seems like he wants to go for a 5th base, but this army is not getting any better, Roddy. He's got 3 Colossus, he's got, 5 Archons. Once those Vipers pop out, this army, it gets torn apart. So Jieshi, he's hitting his timing right now. He's moving on creep, and the question is whether Rex is going to be ready. He's got his Vipers out. They don't have their energy yet. They're getting there. So, Jieshi, razor thin timing.
Yes, but I think he's going to be okay, right? Because charge isn't even done yet. We have a decent amount of zealots. It seems that our Protoss wants to wait. We have more than a decent amount of zealots. We have a buttload of zealots. We've perhaps waiting for a +2 as well. Like, I think Rex will be able to fight with the Vipers. And I was just taking a look at the larva, right? Because there is a chance that obviously the Protoss army wins the fight. But then with the Remax, the Zerg is supposed to be fine. We're looking at 44 larva. Like, Rex is totally fine in that department. The one thing that I would kind of like to see here is Aspire already, right? With +1 flyer attacks and maybe morphing into a Great Aspire. So we have that ability to go into Broodlords if we have a bit of a close fight, and then we can pressure afterwards, because there is no Fleet Beacon, no second Stargate. So I think that would have been cool. But Rex just wants to get the job done with this army, and obviously with +2 melee, Banelings, Vipers, that is doable.
I do like these run-bys we're starting to see from Jieshi a little bit. I mean, this army that the Berserk has is tier 1.5. The Vipers are scary, but that means the Zealots, maybe they can try to move around a little bit. But look at this. Rex circumnavigates as Jieshi moves out. The counterattack on the bottom right side, well, that's going to find a lot. Drones have to get pulled away. Jieshi on the left side as well. Seems like he's going to try to get 2 for null as the Colossus gets hallucinated. But here come the Lings, the Banes. They're going to run on in. Banelings are not getting the best connections, and it's blinding clouds. The Abducts, they miss. They get, what was that, a hallucinated Colossus? But it seems like at the end of the day, regardless, there is no Warp Prism. Everything goes down. And by the way, based on the bottom right side, it's still alive.
Yeah, no, that was actually a great fight by Rex. I know it looked a little bit clumsy and weird, but yeah, the Blinding Cloud is kind of cool because it forced the Colossus to run away, and then they were not shooting, and then the Banelings were just able to splash on the Colossus and the Archons at the same time. The Roaches did their thing. Now we've got that Fleet Beacon. Now we've got that second Stargate. But if we take a look at the units lost resource tab, we can see that the Protoss has lost a little bit more. One base did go down, but the Rex had money for days. Rex had Larva for days. Let's see if he's able to capitalize on that great fight he just took on the left side. I feel like we need some more Banelings because it's a lot of Zealots. Zealots are good in buying time, but they are just not good against Banelings. Rex is willing to send it. One Viper does die, and that battery overcharge is just doing a little too much. I would have loved to see a couple of Banelings crash into that battery overcharge, but so far, still so good for the Taiwanese Zerg.
Yeah, it seems like he's absolutely pushing on through, but there is a counterattack on the bottom right side. 11, 12 probes, drones have hit the deck. So yeah, you know, Rex kind of pushes through, and it seemed like he had a great timing, but Jieshi, that counterattack was everything. He keeps his base alive. He gets 12 drones, and Roddy, look at the worker count. 56.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. But he did still have some money in the bank. He is building a spy now, another base. I would love to see him just go, mate. You just took out all the Archons. There is no good army here to deal with all these Zerglings with +2 melee, with Adrenal Glands. Rex had a 40 army supply lead. I really felt that was the moment to send it, go for it, pedal to the metal, because the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Not only do you have a worse economy, but your opponent has a bunch of carriers on the way. So it really kind of is now or never land for Next. There is still a chance as these Banelings will connect with a lot of probes. That's a lot of workers falling, but now he needs to do something with the rest of his army because these carriers are about to show up, and it seemed that he tried, but he ran into a stasis trap.
Yeah, that's a bit of a... I don't know how much you would have gotten either. There are 3 Archons, a bunch of Stalkers. So maybe it is a bit of a saving grace as more stasis. They do get triggered, but now here comes Rex as the stasis ends. There's another one on the right side. Abducts there on some of the disruptors, but one's still going to try to get its shot off, maybe. Concave coming in from Rex here, and the disruptor shot's okay. Second one gets targeted down. Shield battery overcharge, though. You talked about it last fight. It's doing an incredible job, and Rex, he almost shoves through, but every time he almost does it, his economy's still not great. His army, it just gets worse.
Back-to-back godlike overcharges, man. That first one ran for the entirety of the fight. This one ran for the entirety of the fight. Healing Archons, healing Stalkers. The overcharges really saved Jieshi not once but twice. And I think at this point he is in a great spot. Even if he's donating a couple of these ground units, he is not supposed to lose these carriers. There barely is any anti-air. Like, okay, you abduct the carrier. Now what? The carriers are like, cool, I think we can take this fight. And he is damn right. The carriers can take this fight. The queens are going to run out of energy. We have a parasitic bomb going down, but that's also not going to do a whole lot. I just think that we are in serious trouble against the carriers. Even if Rex is doing already on the ground, he simply does not have enough anti-air to deal with these 3 carriers. They may be underwhelming, Bio. They don't even have +1 air weapons, but they are still 3 freaking carriers. And that's a problem if you have nothing that shoots up.
Yeah, you know, that does tend to work out pretty poorly, especially when the Viper goes and effectively kills the own hatch. We have a Spire, Roddy, but there are no corruptors on the way, so there is absolutely nothing that... I mean, hey, Parasitic Bomb kills a carrier. You don't see that one that often, but there's no anti-air. 5 corruptors are on the way now, but with the Archons and everything else, you're right. It's a razor-thin margin, but it's a razor-thin margin that is absolutely going to work out here for a Dragon Kaitza Gaming Protoss player, and hey, I guess we're seeing why. Rex has never beaten Jieshi.
Yeah, but it was a really close game, though. And Rex really was in a good spot. And I know at one point, as Jieshi gets called, Jieshi gets the 1-0 lead over Rex. fun first game of the day here on Royal Blood. The thing is, when he had that 100 army and he had all the links with +2 and adrenal glands, he just took out the static defense in that previous fight. And at one point, the army was actually literally Stalkers and 2 Disruptors while he had a Viper too. The Archons, they were being warped in. The High Templars were being warped in. But he really had a solid 15-20 second window where he could have fought with all these links. No Colossus, no Archons. I really think that was the moment. I think if he full sends it, at least that base is going to fall, and we are probably still casting a game right now. But yeah, obviously, if you wait longer, more cannons and batteries go up, and the Archon count goes from 0 to 4, yeah, that's where links are going to be a little bit less impactful.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't know much about this Rex Jieshi matchup. I think I've seen it maybe once or twice on an EPT Korea broadcast or series, but I don't know. I feel like I'm getting the sense where, yeah, it's a kind of a Maru Beyond setup, right? Where, yes, obviously Jieshi and Rex are not Maru and Beyond, but you go into that, you're like, wow, this is going to be a great series. It's going to be hotly contested. It's going to be a 2-0. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to be a 2-0, but you get the point, right? Where they're going to play really well, and one player's going to come out regardless.
I'm not sure. I get what you're trying to tell me, where you're like, okay, it's exciting, but it's going to go the same way as it's always gone. I was not that familiar with these two, so I was already surprised by the overall record. And like I said, 9-10 minutes in, I thought Rex was in a perfectly fine spot, where he even did have a tiny misread, where maybe he made some roaches earlier than he was supposed to. But that was a very playable game. He had an amazing fight on the left side, where, yes, he lost the hatchery, but he wiped the floor with that Protoss army. I don't see any reason why Rex cannot suddenly turn it around and cannot win game 2 and perhaps even game 3, because that was close enough. There were opportunities to win it, not just in the early mid game, but even in the later stages of the mid game. If it wasn't for the 2 overcharges that literally ran from start to finish, and on top of that, they were healing up Archons, BL, like, that's the sweet Protoss dream right there. Okay, there's maybe 2 units that you would prefer seeing healed up by an overcharge and being attacked. That's the carrier and the mothership, but the Archon is right up there, right? It's pure shields, no real HP. Yeah, and if an Archon stands there and just takes up volley after volley from all these roaches and banelings, and it doesn't die, you know that the fight is going to go well for you. I don't think there's any guarantee that the next game is going to play out in the same way as before. Rex looked good, he looked competitive, and I believe in my Taiwanese boy.
I do as well, I hope. I want a game 3. I mean, Roddy, I know we have 11 games, or 11 best of 3s coming in today, but I need 33 individual maps today. If we don't, if I am not going to, if this broadcast does not run 13 hours, I am going to, I don't have a lawyer, but if I did, I was going to call him up, because that would be absolutely unacceptable. And I just want more out of my StarCraft broadcast, to be totally frank.
Well, it's a beautiful month of StarCraft with the WTL Codes, Kung Fu Cups, and now the ESL Masters are back. 33 is one of my favorite numbers, BO, because I am Dutch and I do like Formula 1, but I'm not sure if you get that reference. Let's go ahead and hop into Game 2. Babylon, let's see if we are still on track for 33 games, or if at the very best we're going to get 32. In the bottom right side, taking the 1-0 lead over the man that he has always defeated in a competitive environment, our Chinese Protoss, Jieshi.
And in the upper left, in the blue, hopefully putting us on track to 33 maps here today. He is Rex.
Well, BL. Maybe in that first game we went all out macro, but here in game 2, it feels a little odd. That is a super quick gas. That is obviously a pull before an expand as well. And it does seem that he wants to drop a hatchery at home. But if I was a Protoss player, which I actually happen to be, and I scout this opening, all the alarm bells go off. I'm like, what? You took an extractor like 30 seconds quicker than Zerg players normally take their extractors? Something is not quite right here. And even if you see this hatchery go down, I would still be ultra concerned, because link speed is early, a Baneling Bus could be early, a Roach Ravager attack could be early, and it can also be a very quick lair with something like a link drop in your main base. I'd be super concerned scouting this.
Yeah, that's, man, especially given who Rex is and given their history, right? 6-0, that means they've played 6 series. You have to assume that there is some level of history between these two players and kind of how they look to approach things. So not only is this scary, right? Delayed hatch, quick gas, quick pool. But on top of that, maybe there's some kind of individual meta going on here. But for right now, well, we don't see any of that. Hatch just goes down. I wonder almost whether the play here for Rex was just trying to make sure that Jieshi doesn't do anything super weird. Because I want to say Jieshi is one of these players that can cannon rush a little bit more often than he normally does. So pool first, 15 pools, something like that. That does do a fairly good job of just removing that opportunity.
Yes, but if we go for such a quick gas as well, like, let's be honest, we are completely destroying our own economy. And the reason that Rex did this is because he wants quick link speed, he wants a very quick lair. Now, I still wonder, what are we going to do? Link drop in the main base, link plot in the front? Is it... Yeah, I'm actually not totally sure, but it's clearly something with a lot of links, drop alert, and I guess that's what it's going to be, because now he's making a few more drones. But Rex has a terrible economic setup. He's a 2-base Zerg against a 2-base Protoss, and the only thing he really has to show for it is a bunch of links with speed and a lair. It must be a drop alert, right?
I got to assume he's not mining a lot of gas anymore, so this is not going to be some sort of Nidus play. He actually patently does not have the gas for it, so Ling's the front, but they're not going to get that much, and behind this, Rex is droning. Oh, there's the drop alert, okay.
Yeah, it is a little bit silly, though, I think, to invest this much if the only thing you want to do is drop 8 links in the main base. I just have a hard time imagining that these 8 links are going to completely destroy the Protoss. Like, Jieshi would literally need to be AFK for a little bit for this to do crazy amounts of damage. Now, it is still going to show up before even Warp Gate is done. The Dark Shrine might actually get revealed as well. These links have potential, but I think at the bare minimum, Rex needs to kill like 6 probes here. Yeah. Very little, very least 6 probes. Gets the first one immediately. That Immortal is going to spawn at a fortunate moment. Let's see if we can get these 6 workers to at least make this a playable game. Oh, gets the Stalker!
That's really nice. Now, the Immortal is ideally going to put itself in a corner, and as the Adept shows up, it should be the death of these Lings. And so, Roddy, we ask ourselves the question. Actually, well, the Lings can survive a little longer, but shouldn't be. Yeah, no more drone kills. We ask ourselves the question now. Is this worth it? What has Rex seen? He saw, well...
everything.
Yeah, he saw the Dark Shrine. That's the important thing.
Yeah, but this could also be one of these moments where he saw it, but did he see it? We clearly had that yesterday in one of the games that we casted. Wadi and I, that is, where there was a spire that was spotted, but I don't think Showtime saw it in time. I am not sure if Rex really saw this, because I haven't seen a single Spore Crawler go down. I haven't seen a single Overseer Morph. Now, the good news is that Dark Shrines are a lot easier to recognize if you do it one more time. He has dropped another Ling in the main base, so this time around he should be certain that this is happening. Right, you can literally see the no, he didn't see the finish Dark Shrine, but he is getting an Overseer, so that is good news. 43 drones against 40 probes, 2-base setup for the Protoss. It is just a wild game, BO. Not the timings, not the setup that we normally see 6 minutes into Babylon.
You know what? I'll take it, though. I don't want... I mean, if there's a game where nothing happens for 10 minutes versus a game where this happens, yeah, give me this one. This is fun. And now, I mean, Roddy, when was the last time you saw a 2-base all-in coming in from a pro? I mean, I know this started weird, right? Early layer, dropper lords, whatever. When was the last time we saw a 2-base all-in coming out of a Protoss? But as I say that, technically, there's a 3rd base on the way.
Yeah, it could be transitional, as Dr. Dario once upon a time said. I believe one Dark Templar has been warped in. Let's go ahead and take a look if the DT can kill anything at the 3rd base. Seems like the answer to that is no. Now the DT and the Warp Prism go into the main base, but Rex is totally ready for that. And Rex is just gonna try to deny this 3rd Nexus. And where's our army, Jieshi? That's an uncomfortable army to move to the low ground with. You don't want to see these sentries get surrounded. I would just kill this pylon and be happy. Rex, you're not gonna kill a 2-base Protoss here, my friend. Kill that pylon, get a little bit of a contain off, don't take any damage. Okay, Rex says, no, Brody, I am gonna try to kill the 2-base Protoss. I think that's a bit crazy. He knows about the battery.
Yeah, and this is not just pressure to make sure he can drone up behind it. There is more and more roaches on the way. So force fields are going to be nice. Probes, actually. There we go. That's how you break a 2-base Protoss. Lings dropping into the main. So shield battery overcharge has been popped. Been popped for just a little bit, but it's not the god overcharge of that previous game. He's targeting, well, the Cyber to make sure the wall stays alive. So a couple more drones go down, or a couple more probes go down. The defensive DTs, defensive zealots are going to be enough. But Rex, he's kind of pulling back just a second. 9 drones on the way.
Can we please kill that pylon, man? I am having a seizure over here. It's like, no, the pylon! Killing a pylon is nice. And look at the supply block as well that Jieshi is already working with. He's only rebuilding one pylon. So if you take out this pylon, you're going to supply block him even more. And like, this is still all right for Rex. Sure, maybe he was hoping for more because he did make a crazy amount of units. He could have gone back into droning a tiny bit quicker. But if he just stays bulletproof against the War Prism harassment, and he just makes sure that it's really hard for Jieshi to go up to 3 bases, and thank the Lord, finally we have taken out that pylon. Like, this is not a bad scenario for him. He does find a couple of these units. Now he gets on top of the Immortal. Should be able to get one. Gets the Sentry. Can he get it? Yes. One Sentry, one Immortal is decent, but now it's just time to chill. Like, be confident, Rex. You're a 3-base Zerg against a 2-base Protoss, and sure, we might get disruptors down the line, but that's still gonna take a little while. He doesn't have to run up that ramp, but it seems like he really, really wants to.
You know, I even more than just, okay, well, don't run up the ramp. I am so surprised that we do not have a 4th base, at least an attempt from Rex here. I mean, he has all the map control in the world, and yeah, you know, technically as a Zerg, you only need to be up 1 base on your opponent to be happy, but why not? Why not just get yourself up to 77 drones, max out here? I mean, Ravagers are nice, but I mean, he's not getting up this ramp easily at all. He keeps trying. It's just not really working. I mean, the supplies seem like they should eventually allow him to get through as that Cybercore will fall, but I feel like there are easier ways, Roddy.
Yes, I mean, as long as he doesn't eat a massive Nova to the face, still playable. We've got those 4 DTs just lurking, waiting in the shadows. That could obviously be a problem. Rex is trying to make more progress into that natural. Getting a gate, getting another gate. All of this is nice. I understand maybe that he doesn't want to go up to 4 bases because he's literally on 40 drones. And now he's about to lose a few more drones as the 4 DTs will find the Overseer that got brought to the other side of the map or wherever it is. Man, you can thank the Lord, by the way, that these DTs were chasing Zerglings there instead of just going for the hatchery. I guess the Overseer was keeping the main base safe. Now 4 DTs get caught. That is a monstrous pickoff against a 2-base Protoss. Jieshi is going to try to expand one more time, and that's obviously where Rex is supposed to pounce. 46 drone hive. I love it. Let's go ahead and get some Vipers because the Disruptors are the only thing that's scary here. Let's see, though, if he can get one fight before those Vipers are out.
I mean, he's going to try. In fact, I think Rex is just going to try to give it to him, right? So Lings are going to pop up on the 3rd base. No +1 melee, by the way, so they're not going to kill quite as quickly, but even still, that's a lot of Lings. Oh, look at this surround, though. Disruptor shots coming in from every angle. So many Disruptors go down, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough here. Now, Biles land on everything, and this is exactly what Rex was looking for. His opponent to show himself on the map, but Roddy, is this going to work out for him? It seems like not. Well, Disruptors, maybe another shot coming in, but now Zealots on the backside. StarCraft, they're playing it forward here. Their Mortals, they're getting so low, and it seems like Rex actually is going to be able to just barely push on through. But man, Roddy, Jieshi, he's making him work for it here.
A couple of slow Zealots are having such a big impact, and it's so painful from Rex's point of view that there are 3 Immortals that all took a lot of damage, but all 3 of them survived. Now, there is no battery here, but they will have another barrier. If Rex had like 12 more Links to just put on those Immortals, he would have killed all of them. This game would have been over. He does find a Disruptor number 3 or 4. Here come the reinforcements, so that's a whole lot of roaches showing up. The Immortals have their barriers, but that's not going to keep them alive forever. Jieshi needs a battery or so, but he just doesn't have any access to batteries. He's building one. It's going to take a little while. Pretty sexy Immortal Micro, but 2 out of 3 went down. And I want to say that was more than good enough for Rex, especially because he has killed 4 Disruptors before Vipers or even on the battlefield.
I mean, you say that. Actually, you know what? You do say that because Rex, he has been droning up behind this. He's back up at 64, 65 drones. That 4th base is on the way. Not there yet, but it's on the way. At least he has the opportunity. But Roddy, we got to give Jieshi credit here because that was by far the best possible. Maybe you don't lose a Disruptor on the final fight. It did run a little bit too far forward. That was the best possible fight that I think that Jieshi could have found. And for moments, army supplies were equal. That +1, that +2 attack, blink, everything else. That was actually working out pretty well for him.
And I think Jieshi did good because he was literally fully surrounded, and I could already see the doom scenario for the Protoss where your army just gets wiped off the map, where you full surround, corrosive balls land in the center, every single Protoss unit dies, and GG gets called, you lose the Nexus, it's all over. He did good. He did very good in keeping the Immortals alive. If the Disruptor micro was half as good as the Immortal micro, then he would be in a fantastic spot. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite the case. They were just kind of move commanding into the front lines. Now, that did allow, obviously, the Immortals and the Stalkers and even the slow Zealots to get a lot of extra shots off, since the Disruptors were doing what they are not necessarily supposed to be doing, but that is tanking a lot of damage. As I believe we have a DT just swiping up a couple of drones by the looks of it, somewhere towards the 9 o'clock base, but that DT will run away. Rex is in a good spot, but I wouldn't hate a few more drones, or just let's go immediately. We've got Vipers. We can abduct the key units here, right? Oh, hallucinated big units. That's kind of cool, but there are overseers in the mix because of the Dark Templars. Here we go. We're going to disrupt. No, we're going to Blinding Cloud. We're going to abduct a fake Disruptor. So far, so good for Jieshi. But this seems like an unfair fight. Here's the overcharge again, though.
Oh, and look at that. Disruptors are going to go down as well. Big abducts there on the Disruptors, and they will fall, but hey, there's no detection here. The first thing that Jieshi targeted down was those Overseers, and that means these defensive DTs are absolutely going to town. It's going to force Rex back, and the DT on the other side gets 4 more drones before falling down, so income equal. Stalkers on the backside. There are no upgrades on these Roaches, Roddy, so more and more Roaches will fall, and Jieshi, he's not above 100 supply. Let's be clear, but he holds on once again. Losing those Disruptors is painful. Let's not be. Let's
really
not be.
Painful. I thought it was funny when he was chasing. I was like, mate, we're down 50 army supply, but he's chasing with the hallucinated Colossus, the hallucinated Immortal, the hallucinated Disruptor. I'm like, you're aware of the fact that these units are fake, right? But yeah, blinks forward, and he actually got a decent trade there because, like you pointed out, the Stalkers did have +2, and the Roaches and Ravages didn't even have their +1 missile attacks yet. They do now. It still seems that Game 2 belongs to Rex, but he just needs to deliver that KO blow. One more there, one more good abduct, or a few more Blinding Clouds should get the job done. Now, this Nova has a lot of potential, and it's a picture-perfect Nova. Well, if Jieshi was ever going to hold with Novas like that.
Yeah, 7 kills is good. It's fantastic. And on top of that, there's no detection in this army. So I know it's something that we keep harking on, but defensive DTs are going to make a lot of a difference here. Another, last second abduct there. So the Disruptors will not get their shots off. But this Concave, honestly, coming in from the Protoss player is really nice. And again, defensive DTs, they're doing a lot, but that Blinding Cloud in the choke is worth even more. Stalkers, though, they outblank it, and now they're going to serve as a bit of a force field here. And again, this one defensive DT, it's got so many kills. 5 kills on this one, 0 on the other, but that's fine. Biles rain down, but doesn't catch anything. And the hatch stays, or the Nexus stays alive. The third base, well, there was an attempt at a run by there. It does not work. And again, Jieshi stays alive, Roddy. I think you will gladly trade 2 Disruptors for, well, keeping your hope in this game.
Yeah, he's not just staying alive. Now he's actually in a good spot. Previously, he really wasn't yet, but now he is. Especially because Rexus keeps on attacking without Overseers. It's so painful. A few more force will go down. And, well, you were talking about Maru Beyond earlier, where it's exciting. Things can look good for Beyond, but it's often Maru who's winning. Now it does definitely seem to be that is the case, because Rex just lost a ridiculous amount of units in that attack, and he didn't really get a whole lot other than the 2 Disruptors. He's going to be forced to pull the drones here, but it does seem that the Protoss, who was at times 50, 60 supply down, is going to win because Rex kept on attacking without the DT. And obviously that initial Nova before the fight took place, yeah, that was a monstrous Nova, right? It's not supposed to happen when Vipers are out. Rex didn't see it. 6 or 7 Ravages went down. I think we can all agree that that fight would have looked very differently with 6 Ravages and an Overseer. It's a bit of a throw, but an amazing comeback by Jieshi.
Yeah, it really comes down to DTs, no detection. And again, that Disruptor shot you talked about. So Rex is going to give it one last hurrah, and the army of Jieshi is not there yet. So you can understand why, but it's not going to work out now. And finally, as importantly as killing that base, as importantly as killing that army is, the creep's going to go down. Jieshi's going to finally be able to deal with that. So Rex is not going to have this ability to run across the map, get damage done, run back, defend. It's just a little bit harder to track this army. So Rex, he's got a couple Roaches on the right side, but there's a shield battery here. There are cannons here. Zealots and Stalkers are going to warp in. That's not going to find anything. And now the question, Roddy, can Rex do what Jieshi has been doing for the last 8 minutes? Can he find some miracle comeback?
The problem is just that his units are not as well upgraded, right? Like, if he had +2 melee and Adreno Glance, I'd be like, you know what? I can still see it, right? You can crank out 40 links, but I think with only +1, no Adreno, I think it's going to be very hard. You know, during that big fight, where obviously Jieshi had the amazing hold with the DTs once more because there was no overseer, there was indeed an attack at the third base. I took a look at it, and it was like 5 roaches, but 5 roaches fighting 2-3 stalkers near 2 batteries. That's just pointless, right? It doesn't do anything, as these 2 armies are very close to each other. Once more, we are going to land the Blinding Clouds, we are going to land the Abduct, but the Nova still goes off. And it connects, and it does seem that this Protoss army is too big, too powerful, too well upgraded, even though the Lings are trying to have a big impact on the fight. But I believe that this game officially belongs to the Chinese Protoss. He will improve his record versus the Rex, 7-0 historically. I generally do not understand for the life of me how he won this second game. It was an amazing performance by him, but a bit of a sloppy one by Rex.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder what would have happened if Rex had that massive amount of map control when he was just sitting outside of the natural, and instead of trying to sledgehammer his way through, just take a 4th. Get up to 77 drones, advance your tech, do that. But instead, Jieshi is the one that's going to be going up 1-0 here in the first round of the Swiss group. And again,